Good morning and welcome to Aviator World. I am Okwivia Ubudaga. On Aviator World, we keep an eye on issues concerning the aviation industry generally. This morning, we shall be discussing accident investigation and prevention. In the studio to tackle this topic is the Commissioner Chief Executive Officer of Nigeria's Accident Investigation Bureau, AIB, Captain Mukhtar Shuaibu Usman. Sir, you're welcome.
Thank you. Good morning and Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you too. First, let us take this report.
Accidents in the aviation industry worldwide are inevitable, but there are stopgaps usually put in place that can limit their occurrences to the barest minimum. In Nigeria, for instance, the Accident Investigation and Prevention Bureau, AIPB, is an agency of the Ministry of Aviation saddled with the responsibility of investigating the causes of civil aviation accidents and proffering solutions to prevent reoccurrence. The AIPB, which today operates as an autonomous agency, derives its powers from the Nigeria Civil Aviation Act of 2006. However, the International Civil Aviation Organization regulations stipulate the fundamental objective of the Bureau to be improve aviation safety by determining the circumstances and causes of air accidents, and also to report incidents that will facilitate collection of actual or potential safety deficiencies in the industry it operates.
The aim of accident investigation is actually to improve air safety by finding out what happened, how it happened, why it happened, so that we can learn lessons proactively to stop it from happening in the future.
In the administration of President Goodluck Jonathan, the Accident Investigation and Prevention Bureau is being strengthened in tandem with ICAO standards and recommended practices and local legislation. As it stands, the story has changed completely, as flight data download laboratories have been established in Abuja to analyze cockpit and control towers communication and black box data.
We did not have a flight safety laboratory with the capability of downloading flight recorders, which are popularly known as black boxes. I'm happy to say today that we have that capability, and we are the only one that's having that capability around this sub-region.
For example, preliminary investigation into the associated airline crash last October was conducted and concluded in Nigeria in record time, with far-reaching recommendations afterwards. But as the country's aviation sector is being reorganized, key components of the aviation master plan need to be sustained. They include the entrenchment of safety, upgrade of navigation aids, continuous development of airport infrastructure, uninterrupted training and retraining of manpower, and passenger comfort and convenience.
Now, let's go straight to the issue of the morning, accident investigation and prevention. Captain Usman, let's begin by getting the nomenclature right. The Accident Investigation Bureau or the Accident Investigation and Prevention Bureau, which is it exactly?
Well, the act that created Accident Investigation Bureau was an act of the Parliament, 2006. It was when it was enacted. The title is Accident Investigation Bureau.
Okay. The fundamental objective of the AIB, that's the Accident Investigation Bureau, is to improve aviation safety. Now, you want to tell us how the AIB has gone about this function?
Well, to begin with, the aim of accident investigation in the first place is to determine causes and make recommendations so that we can prevent accidents from happening in the future.
Okay.
And that is a function that AIB has been discharging. And recently, because of the importance government attached to prevention of accidents, through the policy, civil aviation policy 2003, government has approved the stressing of that prevention. And so the proposed new name will be Accident Investigation and Prevention Bureau.
But until that happens, it still remains the AIB.
Yeah, it is still AIB, but as I said, the basic reason why we investigate accidents is
for prevention.
Prevention,
okay.
That's correct.
Okay,
Yes.
the Civil Aviation Act of November 14, 2006 made the agency autonomous. Now, has this impacted in any way on the discharge of your functions?
Yeah, most certainly the efficiency of the organization has actually improved a lot. Before that time, Accident Investigation Bureau used to be called Accident Investigation and Prevention Bureau. It was a department in the ministry. So to remove the bureaucracy and make the organization efficient, government, in line with the recommendation of the International Civil Aviation Organization, decided to create an autonomous body called Accident Investigation Bureau. Because for you to be able to prevent accident and learn lessons, you have to be able to do things timely, the investigation timely, so that you can prevent another accident from happening. So if you remove the bureaucracy, or reduce it, let me say, not just completely remove it, at least you are able to speed up investigation, thereby ensuring that you are able to get immediate safety recommendations to prevent accidents from happening.
Okay, before the AIB became autonomous in 2006,
Yes.
now you've mentioned one of your major constraints has been bureaucracy. What were the other constraints that the agency encountered, or the department at that time encountered?
Well, part of it was actually funding, which was very essential to running any organization, especially a body like Accident Investigation Agency. It's very difficult to predict a budget for accident because the aim is actually for us to try and prevent it from happening. We don't want to wait until it happens. So you don't wait until when it happens before you now start looking for funding, because that will certainly delay your investigation. And the longer it takes for you to do investigation and come up with recommendations, the more likelihood you are likely to have to maybe have another accident, which is similar to the one that you are supposed to have investigated earlier on.
Okay.
You know,
So you generate your own funds. That's being autonomous, generating your own funds. How do you go about that?
Well, traditionally and worldwide, accident investigation bodies are not commercial in nature. They're purely public service agencies. Governments are supposed to fund them. But as I mentioned earlier, to wait until you get federal funding on yearly basis, it doesn't really work with accident investigation. So presently there's a ticket sales charge which is being applied to all tickets sold, and part of it is going to Accident Investigation Bureau. So that is part of our source of funding.
Okay, so in your experience so far, would you say that charge has been adequate for carrying out your duties, your functions?
Well, it has gone a long way to make us more efficient. But
would you be looking for maybe additional funding, maybe grants and things like that?
Well, we can always do with more funding, but
okay.
So far I would say so good, even though we can do with more, yes.
Okay, let me take you back to October 3, 2013.
Yes.
Now, there was an accident in Lagos at the Murtala Mohammed Airport in Lagos involving Associated Aviation Airlines. And it was said, I can't quote you directly now, but I could paraphrase, that the flight 361, impacted the ground in a nosedive near 90 degrees, right back, after an apparent aerodynamic stall. Now, that aircraft burst into flames. Your agency has been investigating this crash. Exactly what was responsible for it?
Well, to begin with, the investigation is an ongoing investigation. The facts, as we know, are the ones we have stated in our interim report. And that was based on information available from the flight recorders which incidentally were loaded in our newly acquired laboratory here in Nigeria.
Okay.
Prior to that time, we used to take them outside for assistance with other sister agencies like the United States NTSB or UK's UKAIB, and sometimes even France, French.
Okay, I'll actually come back to the issue of your laboratory and the setting up of that.
Yeah.
But I still want to talk about this this crash of October 3. You said that you released an interim report. Now, for the benefit of those who have not had access to the report, tell us a bit about it. Tell us exactly, because your report did indicate something. Let us know what it indicated in terms of what may have caused the crash.
Okay, let me start by saying that accident investigation is basically in three parts.
Okay.
We want to know what happened, how it happened, and why it happened. That report covered more of what actually happened, and we are looking at how it got to that stage and why it got to that stage. But we don't wait until the final report before we issue our recommendations. Anytime we see anything that either caused or may cause or has the capability, the potential to cause an accident, we make immediate safety recommendations and we monitor implementation of such recommendations and so on.
Okay, but I seem to recall from the interim report I saw that that the pilot went ahead with the flight even when there was an alarm. Okay,
Yeah.
so as the captain of the AIB, and I'm speaking captain of the AIB, how would that accident have been prevented?
Well, let me begin by saying that the aircraft is designed to do certain things. It's limited based on certain design characteristics. The human being himself also has his own limitation and he has his own responsibility. And of course, we have the weather factor. Sometimes when the weather is, well, in this case, it was not a factor, and there are so many other factors. That particular aircraft was dispatched. The aircraft, in the process of taking off, we had what we call electronic oral systems, warning systems, that will normally alert you of certain abnormalities. And such warnings, there are certain warnings that you have to follow and abort if you're in the process of taking off, And in that particular one, we had two oral warnings. One to do with the takeoff configuration of the aircraft, which appeared not to be a normal configuration for the takeoff for that particular aircraft. And the second one had to do with the engine number 2, which is the engine on the right side of the wing.
Okay.
Basically, that aircraft had 2 engines, and so
it was a light aircraft.
It was a light aircraft.
Okay, let me take you back a few years. 2005 and 2006, there was serious accidents. Now, the one for 2006, the reports, well, first, the reports for 2005 and 2006 came in about 6 years after those incidents occurred. The one for 2006 tells us that the pilots ignored the fact that there was stormy weather. There were precautions they could have taken. That was on the one hand. And then the other one said that the one for 2005 said the pilots or the captain may have been not experienced enough to handle such a flight. What this tells us, two things. First, that human error seems to be predominant. In your experience, first of all, is that a recurring factor in air crashes in your period of stewardship of the AIB?
Well, to begin with, worldwide, based on statistics, between 75 and 80% of the accidents were caused by human elements. Let me use the word elements.
Okay.
Not really errors and so on. If you talk of design, design is somebody that designed it. It's a human being that designed the aircraft. The person who is going to maintain the aircraft is a human being. The person flying the aircraft is a human being. The dispatcher is a human being. The air traffic controller, the loader, even the one that loads, is also a human being. And there are so many human inputs into the flight operations and so on. So yeah, basically most of the air accidents worldwide are attributed to human factors. And probably the reason is we have been improving on the technology almost on a daily basis. Okay. New things are coming. But the human design is still the same. The only way we can influence it is by training, retraining, and that's what we have been trying to do, to catch up with the technological developments. So.
Okay. Now, the function of AIB is accident investigation and, of course, prevention. How can these types of accidents or incidents, as the case may be prevented?
Well, as I said, the aim of accident investigation is prevention. We issue safety recommendations and we monitor implementation with the view of reducing or even stopping accidents from happening. Okay, but if you look at that, it's reactive in nature because you are reacting to something that has already happened. With the deployment of a newly acquired flight safety laboratory, we intend to put it to use for prevention purposes. Basically, maybe you've been hearing of black boxes, even though they are flight recorders as far as we are concerned, but to layman it's black boxes. Once an aircraft is in operation and you have them installed, they are always recording information. In the past, basically people use those information for accident investigation. But at any given time, that aircraft is operational, data is being recorded.
Okay,
so we intend to put it to use.
I'm actually glad that you mentioned the black box. Now, it means that where you cannot find the black box, whatever investigations you carry out may be purely conjecture, like in the case of the 2005 crash. Is that right?
Not necessarily. It's a very good tool. In fact, it's a very important tool if you're able to find it. But even before the advent of accident investigation flight recorders built on board, accidents were being investigated. You don't actually have to have a flight recorder. It may take longer time because if you have recorded voices and data, yeah, it quickly points in the direction where the investigation will be focusing on.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I know that in 2012 you did say that that the AIB was to establish its laboratory, which you have said has been set up. It cost about $5.6 million. That's close to $1 billion naira. Now, how much progress have you made on this?
Well, I'm happy to report that the lab has been installed in Abuja, here in Nigeria, and we have put it to first use after the associated airline crash of the October 3rd. And that went a long way in assisting us in finding out within just about a week what actually happened on that particular flight.
Okay, so having the laboratory on hand meant that the outcome of the preliminary report was faster than it had been in the country before now.
Certainly.
Now, by the way, apart from the fact that you had to send information of the black box outside the country for investigation, for decoding, where it concerned the 2006 crash, apart from that, why did it take over 6 years to get the details, the reports out?
Well, I think as I mentioned earlier, I said accident investigation is what, how, and why. And it's essentially research and development because you gather data, facts, then you have to now sit down and analyze them. That takes quite some time because it's not speculative. it has to be backed by scientific, you have to use scientific method to back whatever you say. It's not just a story. It's a story, but it's a true story and backed by facts. So sometimes it could take as long as 4, 5, or more. In fact, there are even investigations that you find that are not, the cause is not determined. And it's not peculiar to AIB here in Nigeria, it's worldwide. It happens. Because if I have to give an example, there's one accident that happened in the United States. That was TW 800, which is a Boeing 747 that went down off the coast of New York. And it took about 4.5 years to conclude that accident investigation with all the resources available to them. And, so it's not peculiar to AIB in Nigeria.
Okay. Well, you want to tell us why you have chosen to locate the laboratory here in Abuja?
Well, in the first place, talking about location of the lab, it's normally where the headquarters is located, and it is the practice worldwide. If you go to the United States, the lab is located in Washington, D.C. If you go to Canada, it's located in Ottawa. Same thing in the United Kingdom. If you go to France.
So are you saying that in each of these cases, you just have one lab in each country? I just want to know.
Yes, certainly it's only one lab. You don't need to have more than one lab, really.
Okay. You've told us of the fact that having the lab available has speeded up the interim report on the October 3, 2013 crash. Now, in what other ways would this, having this facility on hand, in what other ways would it impact on the quality of the investigation and the reports on air accidents and incidents?
Well, certainly it will improve on the quality because we have the facility to do all the analysis here. And that's one. And two, I told you this lab that we have has the capability of being used proactively, which is what we intend to put it to use.
When you say proactively, sorry to interrupt you, when you say proactively now,
yes, how
do you intend to go about that?
Well, I think I said it by...
Will you be detecting measures that should be taken, for instance?
Correct.
What are these measures?
Yeah, okay. As I mentioned earlier, at any time an aircraft is being operated, if it has any recording device, it will be recording. And unfortunately, all those informations are left unutilized unless there's an accident. So what we intend to do is to be using such data, analyzing them, and then because it gives you a lead, sometimes the trend, you can see how the utilization of the aircraft, the utilization of the airspace, and so on. And it gives you a lot of warning.
Does that mean, therefore, that you'll be retrieving this data on a regular basis?
Yes. That's our plan.
Okay.
To be able to get it in our regulation whereby we can obtain such data, analyze, and also help make recommendations to prevent accidents even before they happen.
Okay. Well, we actually run out of time, but I would like to just take this other one. Well, a few weeks ago, an aircraft overshot the runway at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. And we do understand that, of course, the AIB is investigating that. Probably you have an interim report out. What are your findings? What happened? And how could it have been prevented?
Well, again, it's an ongoing investigation. An aircraft came in, a Boeing 747, with Armenian registration, being operated by an operator out of Sharjah, which is in United Arab Emirates, on lease with Saudi Arabian Airlines. And unfortunately, after landing, veered off the runway, and some damages were recorded. We thank God no casualties. Everybody walked out of it. We are doing the investigation, and we will release the report as soon as it's available.
Okay, that means we do not know for certain now what may have caused it to overshoot the runway. But generally, what causes aircraft to overshoot the runway?
Well, as in the case of this particular one, a maintenance work was going on the runway. And there's what we call notice to airmen, NOTAM. It's normally issued out to all operators into an airfield of changes which could affect safety. And that NOTAM was sent out for all operators, reducing the effective length of the runway to 2,500 meters. So we are still investigating why it veered off.
Well, time is certainly running fast, and it's about the time we should be dropping the curtains on this edition of the program. So I would say we should say thank you to you for making out the time to be with us on this edition. So, Captain Usman, thank you again.
Thank you very much for having us on the show.
Well, this is where we drop the curtains. On this edition of Aviator World, we have been joined this morning by the Commissioner Chief Executive Officer of Nigeria's Accident Investigation Bureau, AIB, Captain Usman. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for having me, and once again, Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year to you. I hope you have found this edition as informative as I have. So please tune in to Aviator World next Saturday, same time, for a face-to-face with operators, policymakers, and stakeholders in the industry. On behalf of the production team, I am Aviator Ubudaga. Do have yourself a most fruitful new year and a restful weekend. Good morning.